My name is Paul Courtnar, and I am the CEO of the Ontario Science Centre. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the Ontario Science Centre sits on the ancestral lands and territories of the Anishinaabe Nation, which includes the Mississaugas of the Credit, First Nation, and the Chippewa and Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat peoples. As a settler, I'm honored and humbled to stand here on this land. Built into a ravine, the design of our building highlights the natural landscape where Indigenous peoples have lived since time immemorial. We are happy to welcome Minister Lecce and everyone here today, especially on International Women's Day. At the Ontario Science Centre, we have a deep commitment to diversity and equity in STEM and STEM education. These last few years have shown the importance of science in our world. But we know science needs more women across all fields to bring different ideas and perspectives that will result in innovative discoveries and solutions. We are equally committed to our role as an integral part of the educational ecosystem in the province and ensuring that science learning is accessible to all members of our community. Here at the Science Centre, it is our mission to spark curiosity and to inspire a love of science. Every day, we engage children from across the province in learning about scientific concepts in interactive and innovative ways that encourage them to explore the world around them while having fun. During the pandemic, we partnered with the Ministry of Education to help develop and deliver curriculum resources and support to students and teachers. We also pivoted to delivering our school programs virtually so Ontario kids could continue to get our unique Science Centre experiences in their classrooms. And we are now open for in-person school visits once again. As an organization, we are committed to create a lasting fascination for science in kids across the province. And we are excited to continue to partner with the Ministry of Education to help ensure our students have the critical skills in science, technology, and innovation that will enable them to thrive and succeed. And now it is my pleasure to welcome Ontario's Minister of Education, Stephen Lecce.
Well, good morning. It's wonderful to be here. I want to first off acknowledge Dr. Paul Courtnar, the CEO of the Ontario Science Centre, our wonderful host today their mission has been to encourage science in the lives of young people. I also want to welcome the Chief Executive Officer of Skills Ontario, Ian Halcroft, as well as Daryl Cramp, the MPP for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, a long tenured parliamentarian both in Canada and in Ontario, as well as Artie Javeri, the Vice President of Partnerships of First Robotics Canada. I have been focused as your minister on preparing our students with opportunities to get our young people into the jobs of tomorrow. And that means ensuring our curriculum is updated and aligned with the skills students need to succeed now and into the future. Parents want to know that their child is learning relevant, current knowledge that reflects the world that we live in today. And that is a world that is becoming more and more interconnected through technology every single day. We heard clearly that Ontarians want their children to learn more about STEM education, focused on the life and job skills necessary to our students succeed. STEM learning is for everyone. And this is particularly true to emphasize today on International Women's Day, as we know how critical inclusion is to inspire young women and girls to explore the skill trades and to give them all the necessary tools so they can pursue and succeed in careers in STEM. Now today I'm here to talk about another step our government is taking to ensure that every student in Ontario has the opportunity to succeed in the disruptive and ever-changing global economy. A lot has changed since 2007. That's the last time the elementary science and technology curriculum was updated. In the last 15 years, think about all the changes and emerging technologies we have seen, such as the development of smartphones, self-driving vehicles, and other forms of artificial intelligence. As the economy changes, so must our curriculum to ensure students are learning the skills they need to help them gain access to good paying jobs, to ensure they have a competitive advantage upon their graduation here in Ontario. And it's why I'm pleased to be joining my colleague Daryl Cramp and myself to launch Ontario's new elementary science and technology curriculum with a focus on the jobs of the future. The revised curriculum will be taught in classrooms beginning this September 2022. The new curriculum provides greater opportunities for students to have hands-on learning in science, technology, engineering, and math. Students will use the engineer design process to plan and test ideas and prototype innovations, like flying machines and systems that replicate a conveyor belt. Hands-on STEM activities and applications to the real world are the main focus of this curriculum. From finding new cures for cancer to space robotics that reach new planets, and the development of artificial intelligence and technologies that are changing the economy, Ontario's new science curriculum is focused on giving young people the skills to think critically, to dream boldly, and to chart new paths forward for our economy. We want students to have the skills they need to succeed whatever the path they pursue, and the learning will continue well beyond grade 1 to 8, but also into grade 9. It's why we're also pleased to announce that we'll be issuing a new grade 9 science course that will be implemented in September of 22 as well. The new D-Streamed grade 9 science course is an important part of our curriculum reform. All students will have access to the same important learning in the new curriculum that will focus on STEM education. It will provide opportunities to learn about emerging technology, the economy, and the environment. As well, students will be able to investigate job opportunities in STEM-related fields right into their course. The course will prepare students for future senior-level courses in disciplines of chemistry, of biology, of physics, and earth and space sciences. The release of the new curriculum in grade 9 builds on our commitment to STEM education. As you know, in 2019, we issued a new career studies course that highlights STEM-related careers. We are literally sending recruiters into high schools to encourage pathways into STEM and skilled trades opportunities as we speak in this province. Now, following that, we issued the new elementary grade 9 math curriculum. This curricula introduced coding and financial literacy as a mandate every year from grade 1 through 9, leading in this nation, along with important foundational math skills that we know students need. To build on these, the ministry is releasing an addenda to the grade 10 curriculum for their academic applied math course. And that includes new expectations that will support students in their learning as they move from the new D-Streamed grade 9 math course that our government introduced last year to the current grade 10 course. We want students to see and appreciate the relevancy, the importance of STEM skills and learning in their lives, in the economy, and now in their classrooms. Both in their lives now and as they explore new pathways beyond secondary schools, including apprenticeship, college, university, and the workplace. We know that when students are more engaged in their learning, their achievement will increase, and STEM skills are critical to their future success. The curriculum updates announced today help to make students more connected to their daily lives through learning such as coding, investigating emerging technologies, energy, and the environment, and connections to food literacy. We're equipping students with the skills that they will need to succeed in future STEM careers, including those in the skilled trades, putting Ontario on a path to be a global leader in this area. And I'm especially proud that Ontario is the first in Canada to make coding explicit and mandatory learning in both math and science curricula from grades 1 through 9. Our government's plan from the beginning has always been to prepare students for a world that is rapidly changing, and to give students the critical life and job skills like mandatory financial literacy, learning how to budget, how to buy a home, how to pay taxes. Those are the skills they need to pursue meaningful careers and to contribute to their own and our economy's long-term success. We want to ensure that no student is prematurely cut off from exploring potential pathways. And this is especially critical in a changing world where technology is enabling global interconnectedness. Our government will continue to ensure that each and every young person, regardless of their race, their gender, their social, economic status, or background, has equal opportunity to reach their potential. And part of that is the realization that nutrition and healthy eating is critical to the life of a student and their quality of life as a young adult. Before I turn it over to my colleague Daryl Cramp, I want to thank him for his years of service in Ontario and in Canada. I also want to thank him for his personal leadership in ensuring that students in this new curriculum, from grades 1 through grade 9, have an enhanced learning on nutrition, on Ontario and Canadian agriculture, on technology that supports our outputs, and on the importance of personal responsibilities that students can eat better and live better lives. So thank you to all of you, to our partners, for your welcome, and I'd now like to turn it over to MPP Daryl Cramp for his news. Thanks so much.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is a great announcement on all counts. It's encompassing, it's comprehensive, and it certainly is innovative. So, Minister Lecce, thank you very, very kindly for these changes that certainly do put students and the futures first on so many levels. On food literacy in particular, that I've worked on for quite a number of years, I'm pleased to say that this important addition follows from the private member's bill on food literacy for students that I introduced in the legislature in October 2020. And as I said then in the legislature, the fundamental goal of food literacy education is lifelong health, much as the addition of financial literacy was about financial health. But the impact of food reaches way beyond the dinner table. Diet-related concerns cost the healthcare system tens of billions of dollars each year. So food literacy can not only save lives, but it'll save healthcare dollars. A 2008 peer-reviewed study in the Pharmaceutical Research Journal stated that, and I quote, "Instead of our genes, our lifestyle and environment account for 90 to 95% of our most chronic illnesses." So good health is more than just common sense, it's also dollars and cents, and central to our humanity, central to what we are. As a student, I know I wish I had been taught food literacy, and I look forward to the time when my grandkids can tell me what they have learned about food and its production and how they see it changing their lives for the better. You know, I think we all realize we are what we eat. And this change will promote both good eating and better health for all students. At this time, I would like to pay tribute to the members of the Food Policy Council for Kingston, Frontenac, Lennox, and Addington, who spoke with me and advocated for food literacy back in the summer of 2018. And I would certainly like to thank all of the thousands of individuals and organizations, big and small, who came forward in support of this initiative, and also those who participated in roundtables we held last summer. Of course, supported and participating with Minister Lecce, his Parliamentary Assistant Sam Musterhoff, and officials from the Ministry of Education. Today's announcement shows that good people can make a big difference. Again, Minister Lecce, thank you so kindly for not only listening, but more importantly, acting to make all these positive changes that will enhance lives, make modern schooling more relevant, and boost the future both for our generations and our province and our country. And now over to Ian Hopcroft, CEO of Skills Ontario.
Thank you, MPP Cramp. Thank you, Minister. Paul Malarkey. I'm very pleased to be here today to support this announcement that will see significant improvements to the elementary school curriculum in Ontario. First, I'd like to thank the Minister and the Ministry for their leadership in leading these changes that will embrace STEM in the curriculum, helping to better prepare the youth for their futures in their careers in the future. Skills Ontario is an organization dedicated to promoting careers in the skilled trades and technologies to youth, and we fully support the modernization of the curriculum to include skilled trades and better address STEM. We encourage youth to explore these pathways as it's vital to our success as a province. It will help students find the educational and career pathways that will allow them to realize their potential and support economic growth, helping to build Ontario, making it a better place to live and to work. We are thrilled to continue our strong partnership with the Ontario government and the Ministry of Education, and we remain committed to supporting and encouraging the next generation of skilled trades and technology leaders. We've been doing this for over 30 years, and we are committed to inspiring students and providing them with experiential opportunities that will help with this new curriculum. I'd also like to say on International Women's Day, I think it's important that we're here as we will be able to continue to promote these opportunities, these curriculum changes to girls and young women to help them be aware of all the opportunities available to them as we move forward. So very pleased to be here. Thank you very much, Minister, and we appreciate the opportunity to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lecce. At First Robotics, we recognize the importance of increasing the representation of women in STEM, and we are excited to be part of today's announcement with the provincial government. As a proud partner of the province, since 2010, we have been able to reach 545,000 students, mentors, and volunteers across Ontario through our continuum of programs. It's great to see the government modernizing science and technology curriculum in Ontario to include more STEM concepts and experiential learning. STEM education is critical for the success of our society and in ensuring we have generations of analytical and creative problem solvers who are equipped to solve the world's biggest problems. Creating pathways for women in STEM through this new curriculum will lead to an increased diversity of thought, which will have significant advantages for Ontario's future. At First Robotics, we continue to increase the representation and are proud of our girls in our robotics programs for children ages 4 to 8. Through our all-girls team grants, special events like Girls in STEM weekends, and a focused effort on creating and recruiting female role models as volunteers and mentors. And we are proud to note that the ratio of males to females on our teams is approaching parity. As we emerge from this pandemic, participation in experiential STEM learning opportunities for children across Ontario through programs like FIRST and like the new curriculum from the provincial government will propel our province to new heights, and we are excited to be part of this journey. Thank you.
We will now open the floor to questions. Please state your name and your outlet. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up.
Hi, Minister. Holly Mackenzie-Suter with the Canadian Press. First, wanted to ask you about the mask mandate in schools. If you can tell us any more about when that's going to end, and when it does, is the province going to stop sending N95s to schools and childcare centres?
Thank you for the question. We are very committed to keeping the school system as safe as possible. We have implemented a very rigorous, comprehensive program that has reduced risk, and we're so excited and proud that every child in Ontario, 2 million kids today, are learning in person with their peers, with their educators. We are committed to gradually lifting measures with the full support and following the guidance of the Chief Medical Officer of Health. We're all committed to doing that, and we'll do so in lockstep with the advice of the Chief Medical Officer, so that yes, we can create more normal classrooms for these kids. What I will say that we're also doing, while measures will lift over time gradually and with the support of the Chief Medical Officer of Health, we're investing further in improving the air ventilation within our schools. 73,000 HEPA units have already been in place in every classroom and learning space where there is not a mechanical ventilation system. We improved every mechanical ventilation system, and now, in addition, we just announced 49,000 additional HEPA units which are being sent to classrooms as we speak in the month of March, early April, as well as 9,000 that will go to childcare spaces. So we believe all of this is designed to reduce risk as measures lift over time with the full support of the Chief Medical Officer of Health.
Okay, I didn't hear exactly if you're going to stop sending the masks, but I have another question about childcare. Because we've heard a lot from yourself and the Premier about working on these negotiations, trying to get the best deal, but the end of the fiscal year is almost here now. So if parents are going to lose out on a year of funding under the plan, don't you think you owe them a little bit more of an explanation about what's holding up the negotiations besides the same talking points?
Well, we're firmly committed to getting a deal for Ontario families. We understand how critical it is to reduce costs for working parents. I mean, in Toronto and in rural and suburban parts of this province, families are paying literally tens of thousands of dollars for care for their children. It's unacceptable. We accept that. We know there's more to do, which is why we're working constructively with the federal government to land a better deal for Ontario families, for Ontario taxpayers, with more investment. The first year of any agreement with the federal government would realize a 50% reduction We intend to implement that upon a deal being signed with the federal government, and we remain committed to getting this deal done as soon as possible so that we can provide certainty and savings to Ontario families. Thank you.
Hi, Minister. Matthew Bingley from Global News. I just want to follow up on Holly's question because we still haven't heard what is the final sticking point. So are you committed to, you just said as soon as possible, is as soon as possible within 3 weeks to get that deadline for this year's funding, or are you prepared to walk away from this year's funding and tell parents that you are?
We want to get a better deal, Matt, which means we're committed to landing a deal as soon as possible with more investment so that we can reach $10 a day. The longstanding position of the province is that we need flexibility and more investment to get to $10. We want to get to $10. We need to get to $10 so that we retain the same affordable options in this province that those east and west will have as well. We've made clear to the federal government our requests. We're working constructively with them to expeditiously land this deal that will provide savings in the immediate term, including a 50% reduction the first year, as all agreements have done. That would be the case in Ontario. Our commitment in this province is to get a better deal. It's what we're standing up to, and we're working with the federal government to make that case. And the Premier and I are committed to getting this deal done very soon, realizing that it's going to make a massive difference in the lives of families if we can save literally tens of thousands of dollars this year and every year.
Minister Karina Gould's office had said as recent as last week that you still hadn't sent the action plan needed to negotiate with them on this. If you are so committed to getting a good deal, why have you not sent that action plan?
We've sent all the technical details to the federal government to make the case that we need more investment to reach $10, which is the commitment we have made and we have said from the beginning. We want to get a deal that is better for families that gets us to $10. The data is with the federal government. They have that. We're working with them constructively to get this deal done so we can save families tens of thousands of dollars this year and every year. And as I've noted, the Premier and I remain committed to affordability. It's why in our first budget we introduced the Ontario Child Care Tax Credit, which was enriched during the pandemic to save roughly $1,500 per child. It's also why this government in the pandemic provided roughly $1.8 billion in direct financial support, the Support for Parents Fund, which provided $1,000 to $1,200 per family in savings. So we know that there's more we can do. We are stepping up to do it, and we look forward to landing this deal with the federal government as soon as possible.
Minister, I want to follow up on that. You said the federal government has the data, but you have not said yes or no as to if the minister has the action plan. She said on February the 28th that this is the document that becomes the basis of negotiations to get the agreement. I've heard from the province, they're saying all the right things, but I've not seen the action, and there's still work to do after we get the action plan. Have you sent that action plan, yes or no?
All documents, all details, all plans requested by the federal government are with them. We look forward to getting this deal as soon as possible to save families money. We understand how critical it is. It's why we've invested every single year to build up an affordable and accessible childcare system, $1 billion to fund 30,000 spaces. Over 300,000 families are benefiting from the Ontario Child Care Tax Credit, and we very much look forward to standing with the federal government to deliver a deal that together will save funds for families and deliver certainty for the sector as well.
Okay, I'll take that as the action plan is with them, since you said all data is with them. So will the province need a deal this month to issue retroactive, that is rebates, to January 1st, like other provinces? What happens if you don't have a deal, by March 31st? What happens to those retroactive rebates to families here in this province?
We continue to work and negotiate with the federal government. We've made clear our requests for more investments so that we can get to $10. The first year of any agreement with the feds calls for a 50% reduction in savings for families. We intend to deliver upon that. And obviously, we look forward to standing before you with a final deal that will codify our commitments to save families thousands of dollars every year. We know how important it is on International Women's Day and how important it is to support getting women back into the economy and labor market participation. We know how critical it is to save families money when they're paying so much for childcare. It rose by 400% under the former Liberal government, unacceptable by any measurement. And this government is taking action at the provincial level, and we're now working with the federal government to land a deal that will achieve savings in the immediate term, year one, 50%, and a gradual reduction down to $10 by the end of that program, year 5.
Hi, it's Chris Rochelle from the Toronto Star.
Hi, Chris.
I'm just wondering what kind of resources and funding you're going to be providing to school boards for teacher training, for new materials, for hands-on learning. How much will the province be spending?
Well, it's a wonderful question. We have partnered with the Ontario Science Centre, with Science North, Let's Talk Science, First Robotics, Visions of Science, the principal councils, all of which with respect to implementation supports. We've just announced $300 million in additional staffing funding to hire roughly 3,000 more staff, which can include specialist teachers in science and math in areas of the curriculum where we know we need to really lift up those skills. In addition, we have invested $400 million in a 4-year math strategy. That's going to support strengthening financial literacy and coding, which are now reflected in the grade 1 to 8 and grade 9 math curriculum, which we reformed last year and the year prior, with the new grade 9, with the new science curriculum grade 1 through 8 in elementary, and grade 9, which we're releasing today for September 2022. There's of course going to be a professional development extended to educators, as we have always done, providing a multitude of options for them. We want them to succeed. We want students and the educators to embrace a modern curriculum that aligns with where the economy is going when it comes to the disruptions, the emergence of AI, of robotics, and we want young people to actually have a transferable skill set that they're developed, where they can apply these theoretical concepts into developing a robot, and then using code to help design its movements. I mean, it's really the full spectrum of learning, and it's more hands-on, more skilled trade oriented to inspire young people to think boldly, to think critically, and ultimately to achieve their very best and the best paying jobs available to them after their post-secondary and their skilled trades learning.
But is there any funding specifically tied to this new curriculum as opposed to the previous math curriculum?
For sure. So we just announced the grant for student needs. When we announced that investment a few weeks ago, we knew, of course, we're introducing a new science curriculum. It's been worked on for the past year. Part of that funding ensured that we increase staffing, increase our funding to school boards themselves. There's over $600 million in net increase year over year for school boards, of which we provisioned $300 million specifically for more staffing. We've of course allocated additional supports for professional development, including our professional development days, the 3 days by the ministry that are dedicated for this type of learning, and more resources for educators, particularly supporting them through webinar development and PD that will be offered through the summer and beyond. We are absolutely committed to supporting educators embrace this curriculum, learn this curriculum, and we're excited to launch it today as part of a broader modernization and overhaul of Ontario curriculum to finally align what we teach our kids with what the economy, the skills the economy needs. And that disconnect existed for 15 years. We didn't talk about AI and skilled trades. We didn't teach them how to code in Ontario until our government brought forth these types of reforms. So we are going where the puck is going, if in the sense of with the competencies and skills young people need to succeed, and we're just trying to do everything possible to give these students, your children, a competitive advantage when they graduate.
Last question.
Hi, Captain Rulad from Radio Canada. So people directly involved in either the writing or the revision of the curriculum have raised concern that they were instructed either in December or again in February directly by the ministry to remove some content pretending to action on climate change and also some Indigenous ways of knowing. In the curriculum, if you search quickly, there is no mention of climate change before grade 4, for example. The word climate isn't there as itself. Can you give information as to why those requests were made and how those requests were transferred to the people working on the curriculum?
Well, first off, there is mandatory learning with respect to the environment throughout the curriculum. That's actually been strengthened under our government from the 2007 version by the former government, where young people are learning about ways by which they can innovate to come up with concepts to reduce emissions and help protect land, water, and air. That is strengthened in this curriculum when compared to the former government's curriculum. With respect to Indigenous learning, we take our commitment to reconciliation seriously. Every grade has learning dedicated to the Indigenous perspective in science. That's now codified in the curriculum, which you'll see yourself as the document is released, which should give absolute assurances that we have strengthen those voices and ensure that their perspective is very much incorporated into what children learn, starting in grade 9 in an age-appropriate way all the way up to grade 8.
And it's a bit of a follow-up on my colleague's question, but regarding specifically the Indigenous ways of knowing, do you have a plan to help teachers get the proper information and the proper knowledge to be able to transfer to their students about this specific part of the curriculum?
Yes, the short answer is yes. It'd be supported through the professional development for science educators and elementary educators that are involved in teaching the new grade 1 to 8 elementary curriculum, as well as the grade 9, both of which will be supported through professional development, which would include all the new elements that have been strengthened in the curriculum, or some of the new elements that are net new, like coding, that just didn't have an expectation set before. In the last curriculum, there was an expectation set aside on engineer design process. It's now built into the curriculum, and likewise, emergent technologies wasn't in the old curriculum, it now is. So much of this will be supported through professional development to make sure that teachers are equipped to educate, to inform, and to inspire kids around science. Thank you.
Last question.
Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Minister, how are you? Mike Walker, CTV. 2 questions. First one on the streaming announcement. STEM announcement. You mentioned the de-streaming for grade 9.
Yes.
Is this moving forward, de-streaming for science classes grade 10 and up? Or are we going to be doing that as well?
Today's announcement is specific to the de-streaming of the grade 9 curriculum, which the government unveiled. We started with math, we've now expanded to all grades, and today's new grade 9 course, which we've released, is part of that de-stream division and implementation. And of course, we're excited to improve the performance and to lift up the abilities of all students, giving them a pathway to post-secondary, to skilled trades, and really trying to deny the barriers that have so often undermined many young people's ability to pursue higher learning and get good jobs.
Just want to follow up on what my colleagues have been asking about masks in schools.
Yes.
You mentioned committed to gradually lifting the measures with the support of Chief Medical Officer of Health, but we've heard from the Health Minister when the mandates are lifted, it'll be everywhere. So just for clarity, does that mean when the mandates are lifted for everywhere else, the mask mandates will be lifted in schools as well?
The Chief Medical Officer of Health has stated that publicly. What I've simply noted is that we are going to continue to be cautious in all the measures we take so that we reduce risk and we keep our kids in class learning where they belong. We have systematically lifted measures in a cautious manner, as you will know. Students in high school can now return to normal semester. That's a huge advantage. Students who are sitting for hours learning physics, and as much as I may be here to defend the value of biology and physics, that's a lot of time in one subject matter. So returning to normal semestering was critical for their mental health, academic success. We then returned sports, extracurriculars, and high contact sports as well. As you know, when kids are playing that activity, their mask could be removed. We've really gradually taken the advice of the Chief Medical Officer of Health with the commitment to get back to normal, because these kids have borne so much of this pandemic. They need to be in supportive, positive classrooms, and it's why we are looking forward to the Chief Medical Officer of Health's announcement that can get us there. For parents out there, as those measures lift, know that we retain rapid testing in our schools, screening before kids enter our schools, a very high air quality standard that is now being strengthened with 40,000 HEPA units being deployed to schools and 9,000 additional to childcare centers in the province of Ontario.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. That's a question for him. Thank you so much.